Thanks for being with us on this Thursday, August 11. Gordon Deal with Jennifer Kashenka. As we previewed for you yesterday, the Justice Department has released a scathing new report that says Baltimore police have engaged in a pattern or practice that violates the Constitution and federal anti-discrimination laws. The investigation was launched last year after Freddie Gray died in police custody. We're joined now by retired Justice Department Senior Special Agent Bobby Kimbrough, Jr., who spent 30 years in law enforcement, also author of a book called Surviving the Stop. Bobby, good morning. What'd you make of this report from Justice about the Baltimore PD?
Well, good morning. Good morning. I read all 160-some odd pages of it. I thought that it brought out some interesting points, and hopefully that the report will give the PD, the BPD, a chance to fix some things and do some things differently.
All right, like what, for example?
Like, for example, some of the reporting practices, the contact stops that they would make. They're only reporting 23 out of 123 something, when the truth of the matter in the city was about 620-some thousand people. They were engaging in several hundred thousands of stops. Enforcement activities, the way they chose to do them, unconstitutional arrests, stops without probable cause. I mean, a whole list of things that I was looking at, and I was saying, that creates a culture of separation. It creates a culture of distrust in the community, and you can't function like that.
How does that even happen? How does that go on?
Well, I think what happens is when you have a culture or engaging in something, what you start to believe, a mindset that a certain group of individuals or a certain neighborhood is engaging in an activity, you start to, that thought process engages in an emotion, which then comes an action and an outcome. And what you have is it becomes cancerous. And if you don't address it, you'll find pockets of the police department or pockets of individuals. Not saying that the whole police department or nothing, when we talk about entirety, is bad, but when you have one or two or three or four engaging in that activity, you have to nip it, because if you don't, it becomes cancerous.
Yeah. I've asked this question before. I'll throw it to you. Police departments have the same number, say proportionally, of bad apples as the radio industry, teachers, right? Police just happen to carry guns. But wouldn't you say that, all industries have their bad apples?
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. All professions, as you say, there are people that shouldn't be there. But, one of the things that some 20-some years, 30 years ago, when I first hit the streets, my training officer told me something. He said, when you pin this shield on and you check 1041, meaning you're beginning your shift, you don't represent white nor black. You represent what is right, what is fair, and what is justice. So what happens is this. When an officer does something wrong, because the people expect him always to be above board. They expect a certain level of integrity. You tarnish the shield, and you tarnish it for everybody that carries that shield. So that's what makes it different, because an officer does something, it affects an individual, a community, a city. Whereas a guy selling shoes, he sell you the wrong shoe, and it's not the right size. You come back tomorrow, and you just exchange the shoes, and you go on about your business.
We're speaking live this morning with retired Justice Department Senior Special Agent Bobby Kimbrough, Jr., who spent 30 years in law enforcement, talking about this Justice Department report about the Baltimore PD. Compared to 30 years ago, Bobby, when you first started out, as you said, how are police-community relations these days? Is it hard to compare because there seems to be more reporting of incidents these days?
There's truly more documentation, but I think that the relationships compared to when I started some 30 years ago, is a lot different, because the police officer in your community, you saw him walking, you saw him talking, you saw him engaging with the people in that community. Whereas now there's so much happening, there's so much technology that there's become a disconnect from the community. And that's what we got to get back to, more partnering with community groups, church groups, and things of that in the community, because they need one another. You can't have one without the other. In order to be effective in that community, you've got to have relations.
Yeah. Very good. Hey, thanks for sharing a few minutes this morning. Nice talking to you. Much appreciated. Bobby Kimbrough, Jr. The book is called Surviving the Stop. He's a retired Justice Department Senior Special Agent.